Welcome to the MADA Safety Training YouTube channel. This video is going to cover respirator use, care, and storage, how to select, use, store, and clean a respirator. Let's talk about why that's important. Pre-use respirator checks. Before you use a respirator, every time you pick one up, every day that you use one, you need to do a seal check and a respirator check to make sure the respirator is in good, safe, clean operating condition and that it functions properly. You need to check face piece, and respirator seal for dirt or contamination. Check the exhalation and inhalation valves to make sure they're working properly and they're not cracked or damaged. And check the respirator straps to make sure they're still elastic and not dried out. Seal check is simple, very critical. You want to cover the inhalation valve and inhale with the respirator on, and then you cover the exhalation valve and you exhale. The purpose of a seal check is to make sure that the respirator seals properly to your face and that no leakage occurs between your skin and a respirator sealing surface. It's critical that you don't have any facial hair because any kind of beard or stubble will inhibit the ability of the respirator to seal properly. Respirators, when not in use, should only be sealed in sanitary containers, not on workbenches, not hanging on a nail, and certainly not just thrown in the drawer of a toolbox. Sealing respirators properly and storing them in a sanitary container keeps respirators clean, helps extend the cartridge life, the life of the respirator itself, reduces chances of contamination of the respirator from airborne dust or paint fumes, and many manufacturers have a limited life span on the respirators that they provide. For instance, 3M's air purifying respirators are only good for 30 days or 40 hours in life total. All that time is counted from all the time that the respirator is outside of a sealed container. So not storing it properly actually reduces the lifespan of the respirator and reduces its effectiveness. Let's talk about change-out schedules. If you're using a disposable respirator, how often do we change the entire respirator? What if we have a reusable respirator with disposable filters? We need to know how often to change those also and how to properly document that they've been changed. Many variables determine how long you can go between changing out cartridges. Variables such as temperature, humidity, breathing rate, chemical exposure level, etc. Relative humidity above 65% can reduce the cartridge life by 1/2. Again, it's important to make sure you adhere to the schedule set up by your dealership. Is it 2 weeks? Is it a month? What is the time interval that need to be changed? Make sure that you adhere to that for your safety. During humid summer months, you also want to cut the interval by 50%. So if your change out is 2 weeks, when it's hot and humid in Missouri in the summertime, you should really change it every 1 week. Carbon filtered respirators don't know the difference between water vapor and paint vapor, and high humidity can affect the amount of effectiveness of the respirator and how long it's usable for. Here's an example of a change-out sheet that MADA provides. You need to document your changes, how often you get new respirators. You should take a Sharpie and write on the respirator body somewhere when the date of the next respirator change is due, just to kind of help track that those are being changed as they're supposed to be and as quickly as they're supposed to be. Let's talk a little bit more about air purifying respirators, or what we call APRs. You only use an air purifying respirator in accordance with the manufacturer's recommendations on the chemicals that you're exposed to. Don't rely on smell to determine when to change them. The more you work in a body shop environment, the less sensitive that your nose is going to be anyway because of the overall smells that you're exposed to every day. If you use smell as a criteria to when to change your respirator, you're going to be overexposed to more toxic chemicals that are in the materials that you're using. So again, never use a disposable respirator or an APR for more than its useful life without replacing. 3M again says 30 days or 40 hours. That's all the limit. That's a limitation you've got on the use of that. Must be clean shaven to use. Facial hair affects the respirator's ability to seal and to protect you. It's that simple, guys. If you're going to wear a tight-fitting respirator of any type, you've got to be clean shaven. Beard hair doesn't have the same filtering properties that 3M put into the charcoal filters on those respirators. So make sure you're clean shaven so that your health is protected. Proper maintenance and care, talk about this a little bit. Make sure your respirator is clean, sanitary, and in good working order. Just a few tips for cleaning respirators. My guess is most people in the shops that we go to do not clean as they should. And there's a lot of possibility for sickness, for mold growth, using a respirator for a month that you've never wiped down or cleaned. There could be some little nasties inside that respirator that actually could affect your health and could make you quite sick. So, just some suggestions. Remove the cartridges and filters from the respirator. Discard and replace any damaged parts. Remove ventilation and exhalation valves. Wash respirator and respirator parts in solution of warm water and mild detergent. And then rinse the respirator, allowing it to air dry or clean with a soft cloth. And then disinfect the respirator and respirator parts with either alcohol wipes or a solution of 1 quart of warm water mixed with 1/4 teaspoon of household bleach. Rinse thoroughly, then dry. How often should you clean your respirator? We recommend at least every day. We recommend at least every day that you should wipe it down with an alcohol wipe or an approved cleaning wipe from the respirator manufacturer. And then at least once a week you should take it apart and then use warm soapy water solution to clean the rest of it. Obviously, if it's a disposable respirator and the filters don't come off, we don't want you to dunk it. So your alcohol wipes, respirator cleaning wipes would be more appropriate for those. Okay, let's talk a little bit about isocyanates. Isocyanates is one of the most toxic materials in the paint coatings that you use today. Isocyanates have extremely low amounts. The threshold for exposure is an extremely low amount. As a matter of fact, the permissible exposure limit on isocyanates is only 0.005 parts per million, which roughly equates to 1 inch in 3,600 miles. It's very corrosive to the eyes. They can cause asthmatic type reactions. Sensitizer like poison ivy, once overexposed, trace amounts can cause an allergic reaction, even an asthmatic type attack. PPE, personal protective equipment, is critical to work safely with these materials. You don't want any exposed skin. Your eyes need to be covered, and the use of paint suits is vital. Let's talk a little bit more about PPE that you should be using when you're exposed to isocyanates. You want to use nitrile gloves when handling products containing isocyanates, not latex. Nitrile provides better protection. Latex actually allows some chemicals to permeate that nitrile will not. Wear a supplied air respirator if possible. If using disposable respirators, only use the type with eye protection. Isocyanates can cause cataracts. Wear paint suits to prevent paint overspray, dust, and isocyanates from getting on you. Just kind of something to remember. Not using a paint suit contaminates your clothing with overspray, and you can actually carry this to your homes and expose your family and your kids to some of the same potentially deadly chemicals that you're working with in the workplace. And I don't think any of us want that. So you take your clothes home, you launder them in the same machines that your kids' clothes are washed in. You can expose your family to the same hazardous chemicals that you're exposed to in the workplace. In conclusion, respirators won't protect you if you don't use them and don't use them properly. Know how to select, use, change, clean, and store respirators properly, and be clean shaved. I know we're beating the bell here pretty hard on this one. It's really important that you stay clean shaved to wear a tight fitting respirator. Facial hair stops a tight fitting respirator from sealing properly. Know how to use your PPE, what type of PPE you need to use, and guys, frankly, use it. Keep this stuff off your skin. Keep the chemicals that you paint with out of your eyes. Wear the paint suits. Wear a full face respirator of whatever the type, whether it's an air purifying respirator or supplied air. And let's be healthy out there. Okay? That's the end of our video. If you should have any questions pertaining to this subject, please refer them to your supervisor, and they can always get a hold of us if they need more information. Have a safe day.